Welcome back, Cards. I'm Lynden Longwell.
And I'm Kya Webster.
Today is Friday, December 13th, and you're watching...
Stop! I can't do this.
Why? What's wrong?
Lynden, I don't think you understand. I woke up this morning, I went downstairs, and he was gone.
Who was gone?
My elf Fred.
Wait, Kya, the segment. Here's In the Spotlight with Toby and Raleigh.
So, if you're anything like me, you probably find yourself at the Worthington Dairy Queen relatively often to get yourself a Choco Brownie Extreme Blizzard. And when you're in there, you might notice a stack of papers sitting on the ledge, free to take. But have you ever actually picked one up and looked at it? This is the Worthington Spotlight, a local newspaper printed and produced here monthly in the city of Worthington. They cover everything from local government to individual students at our schools. They even did a story last year on us, the Flock Talk team, but we'll get to that later. I usually pick up a copy of the paper, but then I got to thinking, who makes this paper and what's the story behind it? Open up a copy of the paper and you'll see one name pretty consistently throughout.
I'm Cliff Wiltshire. I'm editor and publisher of the Worthington Spotlight, also the Clintonville Spotlight. I worked for the Suburbia News for about 25 years. It was a group of weekly newspapers. It was shut down in 2012, basically when it was purchased by the Columbus Dispatch. So I got laid off. I was in the nonprofit world for about 5 years, and then started the Clintonville paper first in 2017, because that's where I live, right on the border of Clintonville and Worthington. Early in 2020, I was approached about starting a paper in Worthington, and it seemed like a natural fit, being a neighboring community. So after a few months of plotting out what I wanted to do, I started just as the pandemic was kicking off. So that made for some interesting times. I knew that the hunger was there for people to support newspapers.
Cliff quickly recognized the potential that Worthington had to be covered in a monthly paper, but he knew he couldn't do it alone. Different people are brought in to cover different aspects of our community. Some of you watching might have met Seth Shaner, the Spotlight reporter for Worthington Schools.
I try to tell the good news stories of the schools here in the community. And by doing that, I reach out to principals and teachers and things like that and try to find out, what's going on in your schools and what would you like the community to know about.
He usually has 3 or 4 stories in addition to the Spotlight. In November, most of them were about the success of our fall sports teams. But turning stories around in a timely manner isn't always easy.
The holiday open house in downtown Worthington is on Sunday the 1st. I had to think about, okay, I've got a monthly paper, it's going to be out on the streets. It's really important to get that holiday event in for the December issue. I will build most of the paper before that day and then drop in those photos.
People like Cliff and Seth work tirelessly to make sure the paper includes quality, fun stories each month. But it's worth mentioning that they're involved in the paper on different levels. Cliff is involved exclusively with the Worthington and Clintonville Spotlight papers, but Seth is what's known as a contributor, which means he isn't technically a member of the paper, he's someone who sends in stories each month without being an exclusive writer for the Spotlight. Seth is a recurring contributor, but you don't have to be that to contribute for the paper. This is Emma Lynch, a Thomas Worthington graduate from the class of 2024, currently studying journalism at Ohio University. She wrote that story on the Flock Talk team I mentioned earlier.
I was involved in EBA all 4 years throughout Thomas, and during your senior year, during the 2 semesters, you experienced working like a small business. Ideally, you worked the aviary, and then the other half of the year, you had a local internship. I was going into journalism. I was like, who could I figure out how to write with? And it was funny. I'd gone to my mom and I was like, oh, I have to do this internship. And she was like, do you know Cliff Wiltshire? I checked it with Mr. Savage because obviously he gives you like a list of like the commonalities and like people that they've used in previous years. He was like, yeah, Cliff is great. Do that. He was like, what do you want to do? What's your plan? He like even went over like my college essay with me, and it was very fun. It was awesome. And I ended up, my big project was doing a piece on Flock Talk, and it got publicized into the paper. There's a photo of you guys, and it was just a very like full circle, like, okay, I can do this. And it was something I enjoyed.
In a day and age where there are only around 6,000 regularly printed newspapers left in the country, we're pretty lucky to have one here in Worthington, created by such dedicated teams of people. If you see a copy around Worthington, you should pick it up and read it. You'll find some pretty cool stories.
People want to know what their neighbors are doing. They want to see people they know in the paper. So whether we're doing a story on the robotics team or, the Flock Talk, people want to know what the kids they've seen grow up, what they're doing now in school.
A commonality you will hear is throughout the journalism world is that journalism is a dying art. Newspapers are a dying form. I think it's just important. It keeps the simple things in life. I just love it. I think it's classic, and I think you can't ever get rid of the classics.
And I always thought about Johnny's grandma. Johnny's grandma maybe wanted to read about Johnny, and so she walked out on Wednesday morning, picked up her paper and saw it, and I think that brings joy to people.
Any ideas on where to find Fred?
He could be anywhere, but he's from the North Pole, so maybe he's in there.
Kaya, that's just the door for the competition.
Mr. Lisi, have you seen my elf Fred? Have any of you guys seen my elf Fred? No. Oh, he could be anywhere.
Maybe he's somewhere over here.
Oh, look, there's Chloe and Julia. Maybe they know where he is.
Hi, Cards. I'm Julia, and I'm here with Chloe to see how you plan to celebrate your holidays and winter break.
We're here at the lunchroom to ask you guys some questions. Let's go.
What's your favorite holiday snack?
I would probably have to say puppy chow. It's like Chex Mix with powdered sugar and peanut butter and chocolate.
What is your go-to holiday tradition?
We have a Christmas party every single year at my house, and we just play games. We make a mac and cheese competition, and we have this saran wrap game where we put a bunch of presents and stuff in one big saran wrap ball, and you have to try to win every single thing inside.
That sounds fun.
Yep.
How do you typically spend your winter break?
I usually just stay home or just spend time with family.
All right, thank you.
How are you spending winter break this year?
I'll probably just sleep in and go skating. Same.
How do you guys like to spend winter break?
Snowboarding.
I like to watch Christmas movies. What are your guys' go-to holiday traditions?
Celebrating and sleeping in. Cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning.
Period.
What is a go-to holiday tradition?
Probably decorating the tree for my family.
Probably looking at Christmas lights with my family.
I have to agree, going to Christmas lights.
How do you typically spend your winter break?
At my house.
In my bed. What is your favorite holiday tradition?
Probably going to my aunt's and seeing my family.
Do you guys prefer staying at home over winter break or traveling, and why?
Staying at home. Sorry, because just just stay in, just have a little nice sleep and the presents, just staying home. I prefer to travel because I don't know, Ohio's boring, so I'd rather get out of here, do something fun.
Heavy on that, Ohio's boring. Heavy on that.
What is your favorite winter activity?
My favorite winter activity is either sledding or having snowball fights.
Thank you.
What's one thing you're looking forward to most this winter break?
Probably seeing my family that I haven't seen in a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Whether you're staying home or traveling, it looks like everyone has a little something to do this break.
And if you're anything like me, you're planning on sleeping in every day and trying to avoid anything school related.
Stay safe and stay warm and have a great break, Cards. We'll see you next year.
Looks like we just missed him. Maybe we should go back to the studio.
No, we have to find him.
Kaya, we're supposed to be anchoring. Fred.
Hey,
Caleb.
Carl, just Caleb. I'm back.
Have you seen Fred? I can't find him anywhere.
No, I haven't seen him anywhere, but I think he left these behind. But I'm kind of in the middle of something, so if you could, yeah. And I'm back with Sports Report.
Hey guard, here's 2 weeks in a row of Sports Report with Caleb. Let's get into it. Ice hockey started off with a slow week, dropping games to Gahanna and St. Xavier, but they bounced back on Sunday, chalking up another win against Archbishop Ulster. Tonight, they look to keep up the momentum as they take on Kilbourne at Chiller Icework. Last weekend, our swim teams competed at the OSU Ned Reeb Invitational. The boys placed 6th and the girls placed 7th. Tonight, they swim against Westerville North, Westerville South, and Kilbourne and take on the Golden Bears at Upper Arlington tomorrow. Boys wrestling walked in and took over the Westfall Memorial Tournament, placing 1st with Dean Poppy securing his 100th varsity win. Congratulations! They look to keep up momentum as they travel to Kilbourne for the Wolfpack duels on Saturday. Both bowling teams have been rolling but came to a brief halt as they fell to the Berlin Bears on Monday. They took on Marysville last night, but we'll have those scores for you next week. Girls basketball had a shorter week than expected as their Tuesday matchup with Groveport Madison was canceled. There is no rescheduled date at this time. With the extra practice, they look to dominate Berlin tonight on the home court. Boys basketball started their season on a high note, but they have since dropped 2 games to a competitive Olentangy and DeSales team. They have a chance to bounce back tonight as they travel to Berlin to take on the Bears, tip-off at 7 p.m. Gymnastics competed in a meet in Marysville, placing 3rd. Got some free time tonight? Come cheer on our swim team versus both Westerville North and South and Kilbourne. Ice hockey also plays Kilbourne or Walton basketball as the girls stay home to take on Berlin as the boys travel to take them on at their home court. Only have free time Saturday. Gymnastics will be at the Hilliard Invitational. Boys wrestling has the Wolfpack duels at Kilbourne, and swimming travels to take on UA. This is Caleb, and that was Sports Report. Back to the studio.
I can't believe he's gone.
Can we at least do the question of the week? This has totally ruined our shoot.
I guess. This week, we asked you cards how you'll be spending your winter break.
Majority said cooking and baking. Thanks for participating.
I guess that's all we have for this week, cards.
Wait, Kaya, look, it's Fred.
Fred, it looks like he's holding something.
I'm so glad you found your elf, Kaya.
Me too. Well, cards, that's all we have for this semester.
Happy holidays, and we'll see you next semester with some new faces.
And remember, it's always a great day to be a Cardinal.